Hi, YouTube fans. This is Matt, a post-April 6th YouTube channel. Guess where I am right now? I am on East Colfax and Columbine. Also, Esplanade. Oh, camera screw up. See? Esplanade. And I just left Twist and Shout Records. What an adventure. They have, at this time, and you have to go in there and talk to them to buy it, probably over 50 different used VHS tapes for sale that they probably bought in bulk or in an estate or however they would buy it. And I also got a grab bag. 4 VHS tapes for only $4.99. I wonder what's in there. I got a feeling one of them's a cartoon. Just a feeling. Look at that. Now, Capitol Hill State Bank is not in existence anymore. But the building is. They have other purposes. It's an office building. And here is the construction that is going on. And they're going to do something big. I think RTD Transportation has something to do with it. See, look at that arch right there. That's a sign that something big is going to happen. Colfax is going to be more of a happening place instead of, you know, the way it was in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, more of a rough urban area, or what some people would call a ghetto. And that replaces Choices. 4 Choices was a rinky-dink Chinese restaurant that when I called there, I don't think they had very good service, and I think the Chinese restaurant just went down the drain, or who knows what. They're not in business anymore. I know that. They're gone. And boy, oh boy, is the sun shining bright tonight. And right now as we speak, I am heading to Kitchen, and I'm gonna have a nice dinner for less than $10, even if it's just a grilled cheese sandwich. It's gonna taste good, and it's really gonna fill me up. So why don't you just stay tuned? There's gonna be more. This is gonna get more and more exciting, I promise. There I am, here I am. At the 2000 block of East 12th Avenue, waiting for an RTD bus. Yep, it's just about to show up. I'll end right about there. Just stay tuned. There's going to be more. I've already eaten a nice ham and cheese grilled sandwich, or grilled ham and cheese sandwich at Pete's Kitchen, and now I am heading to Trader Joe's and get some groceries. So like I've already said, stay tuned, there's going to be more. Okay, I'm back home. Nice to see you, YouTube fans. Now here's the big moment. Here it is. Here's the 4 VHS tapes that were in the grab bag. I have no clue whatsoever what is inside this package. No clue. So, what I'm going to do, oh, I already see one clue. One of them's a Walt Disney. So let's look at the rest of them. What I predicted was right. 100% right. I had a feeling that all of these were Walt Disney. And I was 110% right. So the first one is Winnie the Pooh. Yep, see, Winnie the Pooh. And I would assume that this came out in 1968 based on the markings that are on the VHS cassette tape itself. Here is Hunchback of Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, a Walt Disney masterpiece. This one, oh, come on. I'll open it up and take a look. I'm looking for a date and I can't find a date of when this was originally released. Why the hell can't I find it? Well, I don't know when it was released. Pinocchio, I think the Pinocchio one's been out for quite a while. Here's the Pinocchio. Yep. All I know for sure is this cassette itself was released from a movie that was, or at least the cartoon itself anyway, was created in the 1940s, I would guess. But when the actual color Pinocchio one was released, it was somewhere between the 1935 and about 1958. That's the best guess I can make, but it doesn't tell me anything else. Nothing. And here we have, it says 55th limited edition, fully restored Walt Disney's masterpiece Bambi. Yeah. And here is somebody who just popped up, who's been living in the house for quite a while. Here she is. There's Isabella. Hi, kitty. How are you, baby? Yeah. It's so nice to see you. Here, hold on. Okay, I'll let you go. There you go. Well, these cassettes are in pretty good oh, goodness. You see that puncture mark? I don't care. I'm still going to review these VHS tapes, and one of these days I'll put them up on eBay. And when I will do that, I don't know. And what price I am going to charge, I don't know yet. I'm going to do research before I decide on the price. That's all I got to say. Okay, so why don't I get back to what I was doing before I did this part of the vlog? Okay, after I got on the Route 10, and I previously have said this, but I'll say it again anyways. I went into Trader Joe's and I looked at the transit app so that I would be making sure to really watch my time while I was in there so that I could catch the next bus that was 2 blocks away that would get me back home, meaning the Route 6. And, okay. What I did was I moved up against the wall because I was tired of seeing the picture window blind shade that is instead of vertical, it's at a horizontal angle in display in the background. This is one of a nice white drywall background, standard white paint. Okay. And so what I did was, oh goodness, let me review something really quick before I get back to this. Okay, after I had a chance to review what I was getting back to talking about, now I get it. Okay, so what I did was I went into the Trader Joe's, and before I went into the Trader Joe's, like I've already said, I went in, I reviewed the transit app, and I made sure that after I got in there, I made sure to really watch my time so that I could find the groceries as quickly as possible, and that I was not only finding everything as quickly as possible, but making sure to get everything, because I had the grocery lists inside my head. The first thing I did is I went to the frozen section and I grabbed a thing of frozen hash browns, put it in the basket, not in the cart. And then what I did was I went over to the area where the eggs are, and I bought the cheapest eggs I could find that were good Trader Joe brand eggs. You know, just white eggs instead of brown eggs, $1 less than the brown eggs. And I also got the cheapest bacon that I could find, and it was stuff I'd had before, and I loved the taste of it. And then what I did was I quickly walked over to the men's room and relieved myself because all the iced tea I drink made me pee. No, that's a little too much information, but it happens to all of us. And then I went over to, I quickly walked over to where the produce is and the dips that you would want to get for like Greek food and for vegetables and cheese, cheese dip and stuff. I looked and I said, forget it. I'm not going to buy any of this because I'm worried I'm not going to like it that much. Forget it. I was trying to get some vegetables because what I was actually trying to achieve was I was trying to get some good ranch veggie dip to dip in the carrots because that makes the carrots taste so good. But I decided against the veggie dip, and then I walked right back over to the frozen foods again, and I looked real quick at everything, and they were low on a lot of things I liked. I mean, just about everything I wanted they didn't have. I mean, they must have been super busy the last couple of days before I came in. And the one thing I found was the linguine, and I put that in there, and then I hightailed it to the register, and I paid for all the groceries, and then I walked out and I looked at the transit app so I would know if there was going to be another Route 6, and sure enough, not only was there going to be another Route 6, there must have been a little bit of a transportation snag or a holdup, because I guess they had difficulty getting somebody off, or quite unfortunately they might have had a situation where there was an unruly passenger and they had to have the the RTD security come in, because those guys are armed, because there's parts of Denver that are dangerous, and they have to be armed, because you never know who's going to try to come after you, come after the security guard, and they had to have him physically escorted off the bus. I hope that didn't happen, but either way, there was some type of setback. Or the other thing is there was a car accident, or if it wasn't a car accident, there was just simply so much traffic that there was a bit of a traffic jam, and I personally think that was more than likely what was happening. Either way, it was to my advantage that the bus was run a little bit late. And I waited there, a little more than 5 minutes roughly. And then I got on. When I saw the bus coming, I got on and I pulled out the RTD Transit app and scanned the thing right by the front door. And then I went and I sat down where I was supposed to. And everybody was quiet and not making any noise and keeping to themselves. And then I got off on the Quebec, on North Quebec and 6th. And then I waited there, and I waited for about a little over 15 minutes, and then after that I called a good friend of mine who lives in he lives in Southeast Denver. His name is Jerry. I won't even say anything else because I don't think he'd appreciate that too much, because he does some important work. And then we just talk about all kinds of stuff. And then I got off the bus and we still talk some more, and I just said to him, look, whatever happened with the Jeffrey Epstein situation? You know, there's five different stories of what happened. I'm not going to look into it. It's not my business. I got other personal things to be concerned about. It's not my job to investigate that sort of thing. It's not. I don't want to. You know, I really don't want to hear about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of it. But anyways, what happened was that shortly after that, I walked into my apartment and I put away all the groceries, and then I made made myself a nice cup of coffee, because I tell you, I was bushed. I wanted to just sit down and rest for a while. So what I did while I was sitting down and resting and drinking a cup of coffee, I did a couple of things. One, I saw a YouTube blog of Mortsky Repair, and he really did a lot of work to the car, but the lot of types of cleaning and other things he did, he didn't get the car to run, because and it was quite understandable, because that one part of the engine, one of the cylinders was really it was rusted up bad, and one of the you know, the top head part of the piston was really scored and charred and crowded up, and the carburetor wouldn't budge for nothing. It was seized up because it probably got heavily rusted and a lot of carbon or whatever, or you know, that white algae, or I think if it's not carbon, it's like a bacteria buildup. You know, it's heavy bacteria buildup where when you try to do the thing that causes the carburetor to throttle go vroom vroom. It was just like, you know, he couldn't move it, and he was strong. He was really trying to go like this, with the linkage to try to get it to move, and it wouldn't budge for nothing. But he just said basically that he's going to look into getting a 350 cubic inch engine that's a later model from the machinist, from the machine shop, and go from there. Or at least I think that's what he said. That may not have been what he meant. But, either way, he's qualified to put that engine back in. Whichever cubic inches it needs to go. And then after I was done watching that, I reviewed some of the election returns of 1972. And, the way things were going in 1972, when it was like 1% of the vote in, 3% of the vote in, 10% of the vote in, I mean, it was really, really looking like Nixon was going to carry 63 to 66% of the popular vote when things were first coming in. But boy, after it got into 99%, about 99% of the popular vote came in, even though he really beat McGovern by a pretty large margin, landslide for sure. It wasn't 60. It wasn't 60. It wasn't like 63, 64, 65, 66%. It was 60. I think it was like 60.5 or 60.7. It wasn't in excess of what Lyndon Johnson did, which for Lyndon Johnson, it was 61% of the popular vote. But in the Electoral College, Lyndon Johnson won quite a few states, but he only got 486 electoral votes. But for Nixon, this isn't his initial election, this is his re-election. In 1972, he got somewhere between 60.5 or 60.7% of the popular vote, and in the Electoral College, he wins 520 electoral votes. There was only one man that got more than him. One man. And that is President Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States. Now, when Reagan won by a landslide, and he really whipped Walter Mondale, he beat him worse than Nixon defeating George McGovern. He got when Reagan got 525 electoral votes and 45 or 49 states, and he was this close to getting 50 states because he lost the state of Michigan by only about 3,200 votes, which is less than 1%. I'm talking about Nixon losing this, and that's the only state that Walter Mondale got. The only one, Minnesota, his home state. I mean, he only won the home state by this much. But he won Washington, D.C. by a pretty comfortable margin. Pretty comfortable margin. By at least 35% at least. I mean, he really, and that was the only, it's not state, it's Providence that was within the Electoral College roster, or that was the only one he won that he got by. That's the only state he got by landslide. Everybody else is just like, nothing doing, man. We don't want you. We really don't want you. It's not about whether we think you're a nice guy or not. We don't want you, Mondale. We don't want you, Mondale. See you later. Good luck. Bye. And okay, so anyways, after I saw a few different clips of the 1972 election, and I didn't see all the results through and through till the end. I didn't have time for that, and I didn't want to make time for that. I got the YouTube camera app, or not YouTube. I got out the I got out the Samsung S25 Plus, and I started filming this as I'm doing right now. So. Okay, here's what else I did as I was watching the YouTube vlogs about 1972 election. I looked on eBay for transaction cleats for my sneaker shoes, tennis shoes, or running shoes, whichever you want to call them. And I found some pretty good deals, because the ones that I bought that I did a vlog about me wearing back in November or December of 2024, I really wore those traction cleats out. I mean, they're not usable anymore. In fact, what I'm going to do here sooner or later this evening, before I get in my jammies to go to sleep for the night, is I'm going to put them in the trash, because they need to go bye-bye. They're not usable, they're not worth keeping, and they're ugly to look at. And they make me look like a filthy, ill-mannered slob wearing them. Yuck. Okay. And what else did I search? Just one other thing about it. Okay, I didn't do this evening, but I did it yesterday. When I was watching a YouTube vlog about the life of Johnny Carson, I searched for a NBC coffee mug, and I found a good deal on one. Because, see, it's not ceramic, it's nice hard plastic that has that clear thing through it, and then it has a cylinder inside the clear part to see. Between the clear see-through acrylic or plexiglass, and then there's the cylinder that's actually the coffee mug cup container itself. They have the logo of NBC. Yeah, it goes around like this. Because you see it all the way around, like you're supposed to see it on a good coffee mug. And it's only $5, and I got an offer on for 4, and I thought, yeah, but you don't do that right now. You wait until you get paid. Because otherwise, you could, on Tuesday or Wednesday, you're going to go to work, and you're going to be able to make it to work, but you're going to have to go on the bus, and you're going to be really stuck between a rock and a hard place, and life is going to feel quite stressful. Don't do that to yourself. Watch your pennies and live within your means. And let's see, hold on. Oh, forget about what I was looking for in between the time that I got home and now, and what I was looking for yesterday. Why don't I focus just a little bit more on what I was searching for while I was inside Twist and Shout Records itself. First I looked at the VHS tapes, and then I grabbed the grab bag. And then I looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and looked at all the DVDs. Standard DVDs and Blu-ray for Simon and Simon TV series that was popular between 1981 and I think it ended in about 1980, somewhere between 1986 and 1988. with Jameson Parker as A.J. Simon and Gerald McCraney as Rick Simon. And oh goodness, she was born about 1920, something between 1990 and 1923. The one who played the mom who went by, I think it was Cecilia Simon or Cecilia. The one that both Rick and AJ loved dearly, their mother. And then there was a guy named Myra, who was kind of a rough-voiced New Yorker. Who he was the older guy who was always trying to be a backup or an additional advisor to AJ and Rick Simon with their Simon & Simon private investigations endeavor. Way of earning a living, way of life. And the other guy that was good in this series was a really impeccable actor who played Venus Flytrap in WKRP, and then he played Downtown Brown in Simon & Simon. And the guy who played Venus Flytrap and Downtown Brown, his real name is Tim Reed. There was a certain day in the fall of 81 or 82, where there was Tim Reed and Hulk Hogan. Guess who saw him? It was me. I did it. And I was in the presence of my dad. Yep. Yeah, he played, if I didn't make it clear, it was Tim Reed and Lou Ferrigno who played Hulk Hogan. Yeah. Tim Reed and Lou Ferrigno who played Hulk Hogan. Yeah. And Lou Ferrigno is really as muscular as he looks on television. You don't ever get crosswise and try to get tough with Lou Ferrigno, because I bet you in real life he's real damn tough. I mean, just one sock in the face and he'll knock some big guy on the ground like that. And I believe Lou Ferrigno is still alive. What his age is now, I'm sorry, I just don't know. I know that Tim Reed is 79 or 80 by now. He was born in 1944, I know that. December of 1944. Yeah. Yeah, he's about 80 now, actually. Tim Reed is 80. Well, I think that's going to be about all for this vlog. And I think now it's time for me to edit the vlog and put it up on YouTube. And thank you, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good time, a good life. And thank you, everyone. And goodbye.